Hey, 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 what's up, Mr. and Mrs. America? Welcome to it, man. This is the Ace Michael Show. I'm Ace Michaels, and it's my pleasure to be with you cats, as always. And I don't just say that, I'm not one of those that's going to say it's a pleasure to be with you if it really wasn't. I would come up with something else like, for some of y'all, good to see y'all. The rest of y'all, do your damn thing. I'll only tell you. But no, it's really a pleasure to see each and every one of you whenever we're out. It's also great that you support the show. Keep doing that. We really appreciate it. It helps us keep the show going. You know how that goes. Today, my thought was on something that I don't know. I just put it like this. I'm gonna keep it real. Is anybody having a good life? Now I know you might have a good default go to, like you might say, okay, well Donald Trump is, or some billionaire tech. No, but is he really? Like, is anybody? And I really think about this. Is anybody really having a good life? Like, because even, Trump stoid over there, he's miserable. He's got to be miserable. He's got surrounded by money. He's got all these sycophant family members and sycophant people that work for him. He doesn't have anybody who's like, yo, Donnie, let's just go hang out, bro. Never, right? So that can't be fun. That's got to be a miserable way to live, right? So you think about all the people who are doing all the lives that we encounter, and everybody has the same basic needs. We all want our family to be safe and healthy, and we all would like to be able to take care of our family and feed our families and ourselves, right? So these are the basic needs. But outside of the basic needs, we all also have these impending heavy fines and dues and bills, like your health insurance, your car insurance, your house insurance, your breast reduction surgery, your breast enhancement surgery, your this, your that. And everything is just like we're living in this I hate to call it the matrix, but that's the best word that comes to mind. Like it literally is a matrix of obligations that we have. So I ask you, and I'd love to get your emails and your thoughts on this. Is anybody really having a great life? Really? And with that being said, I'm gonna bring to the show a first timer. With that introduction, I'm gonna bring to the show a first timer. She is a music artist. She's a comedian. She's probably an actress. When I met her, she was a dancer, darling. She was dancing divinely at a nightclub, at a night spot, and I was instantly compelled to connect with her. And welcome to the show for the first time. Carmynn Bradley is with us on the show today. Hi, Carmynn. How you doing, darling?
Hi, I'm doing great. Thank you for having. Oh my God, you're cracking me up. I had to stay quiet during your little
Dude, I'm
intro.
cracking up. I can't help but crack up.
Oh
Um,
my.
and speaking of cracking up, just getting right into the damn thing. So you're a comedian, which is hard to be.
Yeah.
You're a
Yeah.
really for real working stand up comic. Let's
Yeah.
let's start there.
Let's start there. That's funny. I've been on a hiatus, but yeah, comedy is something that I discovered. Like I discovered it through acting school and through like rediscovering my personality. And
Hmm.
I literally found out I was a comedian. And so it's like a beautiful, unexpected addition to my life.
Now, does that also mean you're like super depressed and like manic? Because you got to
Yeah.
kind of be like it doesn't really work one without the other, right?
Yeah, I mean, being an artist, that's like part of the spiel. I loved your talk about like whether or not we're enjoying our life because I feel like that's what I've been grappling with is how do I find a way to make it so that I enjoy my life? Like not just reaching for the next thing, not being addicted to my suffering and attached to this like, well, I'm an artist, so I have to. Like how can I create that for myself, you know?
Let me tell you something, my friend. All right, let me just have some real let's have real talk for a
Real
second
talk.
here, okay? Let me just break this down, okay? Being an artist sucks, dog. Being an artist,
Yeah.
it's okay. So I was talking to this young lady. We were thinking about dating, and after a few beers, I realized no, we're not going to be dating. But because she was a regular person. That's the point I'm trying to say. She was a regular person, Carmen. So she
Yeah.
didn't understand. Like, look, I wake up in the middle of the night because I have an idea. You understand? Like I don't. It's not like I'm doing this for fun. Like this is a
Yeah.
real socio physical thing that happens to
Yeah.
me. Like I
Yeah.
have to
Yeah.
write this song. I have to
Yeah.
finish this edit. And
Yeah.
so that means that other people will become secondary in my life. My kids.
Hmm.
I love my kids. But my kids, would I rather tune my guitar, or would I rather, I don't know. It's a toss up, man. It's a real toss up. And so being an
Yeah.
artist is like you have this that you it's like you have this whole other person that's in your incubator inside of you that has to get
Yeah.
out. It has
Yeah.
to run around the
Hmm.
room. And then you
Yeah.
also, would you agree, you also have to bring them back in at the end of the night. Okay, there's enough art time. It's time to get back in the
Yes.
bottle, Genie, and I'll bring you out
Yeah.
another time. We got another gig next
Yeah.
Thursday.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I have a rule that I don't have a bedtime. As an artist, I've had to make sure that I don't start the day too early because I have to just let the night play out. There's no like definitive end time. It's usually between 1 and 4 in the morning.
Right.
But I just have to. I have to let it play out. And then I have to read a book and decompress. I don't even have a TV because I'm just living, eating, and breathing this lifestyle.
And
Because like you said,
yeah.
it's who you are. It's that's just how it is.
And many people don't understand that.
Mm.
Like they look at
Yeah,
your life and they go, "Well, you get to get on stage, so you're living your dream."
yeah,
I, are you since you're a comedian, you may know Josh Johnson, or you may know of Josh
yeah.
Johnson.
He's
Okay,
my favorite.
he's my favorite. Listen,
Yes, I love
I
him.
listen to Josh Johnson every night. I love Josh Johnson.
Cool.
So
Yay.
one of his bits, he says, I was going through a rough time, and I love my career. He goes, but I wasn't seeing any real success. Like, and I don't mean I wasn't booking shows. This is in his voice. It doesn't mean I
Yeah.
wasn't booking shows. He goes, but you get to a point where money equates to success. And so
Mm-hmm.
when you're doing shows and you are gigging, but how
Mm-hmm.
many ham sandwiches can you actually eat? Like how much ramen? Like
Yeah.
you serious? This is the measure of my success, is how much ramen I'm
Yeah.
eating, right? And so that really hit me in my heart. I was
Yeah.
like, you know what? Yeah, this does kind of suck to be like you've written some
Mhm.
songs and you've done some this, but that doesn't really equate to anything because you don't have hit records, and so you don't.
Yeah.
You're not going on tour. You're not opening for Bruno Mars. You're not even
Mhm.
closing for Bruno Mars. You're nowhere near that status, but you're still
Right.
working, right?
Yeah.
What are your
Yeah.
thoughts on that?
Well, I remember that you and I kind of talked about this like literally a year ago, where it was
I
just,
know. It was,
when you're going at it and there's you don't have a lot of people around you until you start to like become some type of a wave, and then everybody wants to ride that wave. And so I think it's like a lot of it is just an internal sort of thing where if you reach a point of burnout, you let yourself gather up and take a few deep breaths, and then you're going to get back out there anyway. And so it's like you have to keep reminding yourself like what your why is, and try to tune out kind of like the noise, and like learn who your circle is. I think there's just, I guess, like a lot of tricks I'm learning about how to kind of
mm.
maintain that endurance despite like those moments, and despite money not coming in or whatever.
And see, now on that note, I'm about to interview your ass. That's a perfect. That's exactly. So, Carmen, what is your why? Why are you doing this? You said it's crazy insanity. Why are you doing it?
Yeah, honestly, I feel it. Well, I know that it's who I am. I have another career. I'm a mental health therapist. I have a very definitive, more surface level why for that one. It's like my brother was mentally ill and I was mentally ill, and like I've interacted with kids and I want to help people, but in artistry, like I went to Bali and I stared at the mountains and I poured like God-fueled water over my head and I said, "Unlock my voice." And I just
Wow.
like anytime anytime I hear like music, I think me. Anytime I hear stories about performers who made it, I think that's where I'm headed. Like it's just soulful for me. It's
Mm.
what I have to do. It's a gift I feel like I've been given. And Yeah, I guess that answers the question.
It does now, but it opens other questions too because you can't just drop that mental health thing in the middle. That's like if you're asking me something, I'm like, well, after I killed up a bunch of folks, then I decided to, you're like, whoa, hold on, sorry, once again, right? So tell us about
Yeah.
this mental health thing. That is a really really compelling. I want to know about this.
Yeah, well, I guess it's like my other life, and I've it's an interesting thing because I started off as a teacher, and then when I left teaching, I started both my mental health career and my music career at the same time, and it's been this interesting yin and yang where like if one moves forward in one way, the other one does too,
Hmm.
and it's really interesting. And you know, anyway, I have a business. It's called Bradley Healing Collective, and I'm a trained hypnotherapist and a parts and memory therapist. So I'm
Oh wow.
really good at guiding people through their subconscious minds and navigating difficult emotions with the goal of like kind of what we were talking about earlier, like can we let this stuff go? Like, can we find peace? Can we find emotions that you want to feel? And so I'm always balancing like giving people space to share very difficult things while also like trying to empower them to, move forward. And again, like what we said in the beginning, just like how can you create a life that like works for you? And that's where artistry comes in for me because I actually quit. I quit being a therapist back when I was going to school at Dream Tracks for acting. And when I found out I was a comedian, I just quit for a while and said, like, I'm giving too much of myself away. I'm trying to pour from an empty well. I need to figure out who I am. And then I
Hmm.
did that, and then returned. And now I give to myself and I give to others. And like I said, it's like this yin and yang sort of thing. And so I feel like challenged to be a trailblazer in some sort of way because I'm telling people figure out who you are. I can't tell people that if I haven't figured it out for me.
That is very true. And I like the way that you put that you use the word balanced, how you balance these things, because that's really what it is, isn't it? It's kind of a balancing act. Like you've got to make sure that the yin and the yang come together in a way.
Hmm.
And you know what's funny? Like people, I'm sure it would be nice to win a Grammy. I'm sure it would be nice to win an Oscar. But if people think that you're motivated by those things, that's the reason you became an actor. That's the reason. No, that's not the reason. There's no way that
Yeah,
you're going to work as hard as you need to work because you think
yeah,
at the end there's a payoff where they're going to give you a statue. That's not
yeah,
that's not what's happening. Um,
yeah.
so you got into mental health, and somehow mental health and music went together, which I'm not surprised because I've been a musician and I've been around musicians, and I could see where those two would definitely conjoin. But
Yes.
so you found that you could make these things work. But the interesting thing you said to me, everything you said was interesting, but this one particular thing you said was that you discovered that you were a comedian. You found that you were a comedian. So how did you
Hmm.
find that? Did you accidentally were on stage and you started telling some jokes and people were laughing? You're like, hey, they actually think these are funny jokes. Like, how did you discover that?
I was in acting school and I had been doing a lot of yoga, and I was like it was almost like my personality was shut off. I was very good at existing in a room. Like I would go to the airport and do yoga in the corner and not care that other people like what they thought about it, but I was not myself.
Huh.
And so I was singing at Don't Tell Mama. I was subbing there and I didn't get a permanent shift, and it sent me into a week-long depression where I was like
Oh, wow.
like what's next. And so I just picked something. I was like, well, I've been wanting to go to acting school. I think that would help me with my stage presence. And so I did. And it unlocked like me, the goofy side of me, the combination of being like a quiet, observant person with the fact that that means that I'm good at like finding the punchline because I can listen to a bunch of people and then come in at the right time. And so it was about like similar to music, like finding an aspect of who I am by being in a space that gave me the freedom to do so and to explore myself. And then I felt compelled to like try stand up and yeah, like kind of immediately caught a wave with it, and just rolled with it, I guess.
And so when you did stand up, I'm sure it was terrifying, right? Stand up would seem like it's going to be terrifying the first few times. But then you find uh, an even keel, if you will. You find a way that makes it work. What was your moment of finding yourself as a comedian where you're like, you know what? Okay, I got this. I can do this now on any stage. Bring it.
Yeah, it's a good question. Like, I felt that pretty early on, I'm not gonna lie. I've always been like public speaker, like good at that. And even I had an interesting story, like when I was teaching and I was ready to leave, I was like manic, as artists are, but driven by visions and telling the kids, like, I see myself like talking on stages. I know I'm going to be in movies. I don't know how to explain why, I just know it. And
Huh.
like 1 year later, like I had a movie on Amazon Prime. It's just like, I don't know, when you trust, when you trust where you're supposed to go, you get where you're going to go. But
Huh.
yeah, with stand-up comedy, it was like almost an immediate comfort and a lot of anxiety and a lot of anxiety about content, but that mostly came from like my own like perfectionist tendencies.
Uh-huh.
Um, but for the most part, like I'm more of a crowd work comedian than a content comedian.
Uh-huh.
And so if I have a good crowd, like I can just interact with the crowd and connect with the crowd. And I do a good job is not really the right way of putting it, because I don't even think it's really about that. I think it's about like being in the moment and like giving space for other people to feel things. Like I think that's what an artist does, is like gives people permission to feel things that maybe they wouldn't give themselves permission to feel.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that there's a spot of being an artist where you're kind of um you're the measuring stick, for lack of a better word. There's a better word, but I can't think of it, right? But you're like, for the audience, they want to go to a certain depth. They want to laugh about politics, but they're afraid to laugh about it. They're afraid to say the thing that we were all really thinking. So when you get on
Yeah.
stage and you do it, then it gave them permission to be like, okay, all right, yeah, it is kind of fun. He is kind of fat, right? You're right about that, right? And so
Yeah.
then they, then they can let
Mhm,
loose and let it go. Now, my
mhm.
listeners and my soul would be very disappointed if I didn't ask you this question, because there's a whole new realm, if you will, like a whole Marvel universe, if you will, now of female comedians are just killing the game,
Mhm,
right?
mhm.
And as a female comedian, where do you see the future of this going for female comedian? Like, there's so many. It used to be a couple that you could say, well, Sarah Silverman's doing pretty good, and how about this one, and how about that? But now it's literally like, they're everywhere.
Yeah.
What do you think about that, or do you even put yourself in that category? Like, are you a female comedian? Are you just Carmyn Bradley telling jokes?
I think you're right about the second thing. Like, I think I just identify as myself. I sometimes think about that, like I was in an all-female Beatles tribute, and
Oh, nice.
then when that was over, it was like I almost felt this pressure to like continue to like do that, like create an all-female sort of thing. But my band
Mm,
now is me and two dudes who I love and who are like just musical geniuses and who support me in my growth as an artist. And so I think it's important, like the conversation about women and in music. I sometimes observe that it seems like it's still like male dominated, but for the most part, like I try not to feed into the women hating men kind of thing, because
mhm.
it closes me off to connections and to people who are, allies to women or other groups. And so yeah, I think I try not to like present myself as a female comedian or a female musician, or I just, like you said, I'm just Carmyn Bradley and I'm doing my thing.
Yeah, and you know what's interesting? I love to ask artists this question. So, how much of your artistry is personal, and how much do you keep your personal life out of your artistry? Like me as a songwriter, I've been asked, "Well, who did you write that about?" And I'm like, "No, I
Mm-hmm.
just made up a person. Like, this is not a real. I didn't really go through this. This is just something I thought would be a particular interesting thing to write about. It doesn't mean I went through it." But then
Yeah,
other writers write differently. They do write from their personal
yeah,
experiences. I like to
yeah.
kind of have a filter. Like, there's certain things about my life I don't want the public to know. like me
Mm-hmm.
personally.
Yeah.
All right. So where's your meter in that? Where do you define how much of the real Carmynn Bradley is involved in this art?
This is a great question because I've been grappling with it like as a therapist. At some point, when my art gets to a certain space, like, will I even be able to participate in this professional career?
Hmm.
Where are my boundaries? But when you Google me, you find both. And so if somebody's my client and they Google me, they're going to find music. And if somebody finds me in music, if they Google me, they're going to find the other thing. And so I have almost like I'm forced to be open in a way. And maybe that's just like, maybe I had to believe that in order to be that way, but I do, like, I'll share stories about my brother who died 10 years ago and songs I've written about that. And but with the new band that I have, because I'm in a group, I feel like it helps me to kind of let go of that. Like, it doesn't have to be about me and my struggles. It can just be about me creating with other creatives, and I like that. I like that it takes me out of my ego
Hmm.
and that it's not all about me. It's this group that we created together. And I love that. Like, I like that it's a trio because my drummer can have some spotlight because I love drummers. I fucking excuse I love rhythm. Like, I need it. I love it. I love him. He's so talented and I want him to be in the forefront. Like, it's not like, oh, it's Carmynn Bradley's band and she's a great singer. It's me and Johnny and Daryl creating something beautiful with all of our minds. And so I'm getting away from your question a little bit, but I think it's because, like, I'm always like grappling with that and, like, wondering about how much of me goes into this. And but in general, I'm kind of like an authenticity girl. Like, I kind of wear who I am on my shoulder. I
Hmm.
think that journey I talked about with, like, going to acting school and finding myself again, I think that because I went through the struggle of losing myself, I tend to maybe be a little attached to, like, well, I'm gonna hold on to it or something.
Hmm. And I want to say I really respect the way you put the show together, because you got a show tonight in Las Vegas,
Yeah.
and I watch people's work because I learn a lot. I book artists, but I'm learning a lot as I book these artists. I kind of see how they put their things together, and then that helps me kind of go, oh, okay, well, this is what I kind of don't want to do, and this is what I do. But I like the musicians that you surrounded yourself with are
Mhm.
all top notch. The
Yeah.
performers, the opening act, and I presume that you put all this show together. How much of this show is Carmen's vision?
Well, I guess I'm the orchestrator of the whole thing. It's funny because it's one of those moments where I'm kind of a little perhaps disassociated from the reality because it feels like a group effort and it totally is, but I orchestrated it.
Right.
And, like, my friend who's been with me through a lot of this, we met on a movie set and then he's done a lot of my photos and helped me with my website. And he's also just a fucking genius, like a mastermind.
Wow.
But he's introducing my Grass Touchers original band portion of the night, and in the draft he sent me, it's like, thanks Carmen Bradley for bringing this all together, and I was like, I did that.
Right. Right.
But yeah, you're so right. Like, we had a rehearsal yesterday, and I've got Kenny Davidson, who is
Mm.
just a musical gift, and Randall's like, everybody around me is just a genius, and they've been rallying behind me. And there's been a lot of behind the scenes work, like rehearsals with Carl John, who's going to be doing it. We're going to be doing a duet together, and he's a songwriter around town, and, like, my two female guest singers are just so talented and have their own stories. And so, yeah, it's kind of, I guess it makes me think about what I was saying when you asked me the question about how much of this is about me. And it's like, it is, but it's not. Like, it's about community. And really, I think part of the struggle of being an artist is that sometimes, like, because we feel misunderstood, we feel alone. And in my journey to try to find that peace and connection, I've had to really open my heart specifically to, like, this community here in Vegas, this artistry community, and, like, accept love, accept help, lean into collaboration, like, let it be a group thing. And so I know that I put in a lot of work, but everybody involved in tonight did. And I like I've been swelling with gratitude when I give myself a moment to sit and really like
Yeah.
think about it, you know.
It's like the greatest thing you'll ever love. The greatest thing you'll ever learn is just to be loved and be loved in return,
Yeah.
type of thing.
Yeah.
There's two things
Yeah.
I want to talk about before we run out of time. One is going to be a little bit more about your music. I want people to know as much as they can about who you are as an artist, full rounded. And then at some point, we got to talk about this name, Carmyn, and how it's spelled, because I'm sure it throws people into like, is that how you spell it? Is that right? It don't look
Yeah.
like Carmen. My mama's name is Carmen. She don't spell her name like nothing like
Right.
that. So hippie,
Funny.
if it hippie parents, is that where it comes from?
It's actually an interesting story, as all the stories are. No, my father wasn't around like before. My mom was pregnant with me and they split up. So my uncle named me. And the
Okay.
interesting thing about that is that I never planned on coming to Vegas. It just sort of happened, but he lives here and he's
Uh
my
huh.
only like family member here, and he was a professional comedian, an actor, and a singer, and he
Oh
did
wow.
opera. And so he actually named me Carmen because of the opera, but then being an artist, he was like, I'm going to spell it this way.
Uh huh. Uh huh. Wow.
So yeah, it's all very just like, I don't know, profound.
And so, if that's your namesake, have how many times have you seen the opera Carmen?
Never. Never.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. I was like, my name
No.
is Ace. I don't know anything about playing cards, bro. Get out of here. What is wrong with you?
Right.
I don't know nothing about that.
Yeah.
That's funny.
But I can sing.
Yep, there you go.
Yeah.
And so when I met you, Carmen, I mean, you remember when I met you because you were there, but people may not know that you're a dancer. That's how, when I met you, you were dancing with this troupe, and so
Mm.
I was attracted to the legs. I saw some legs. I was like, "Whoa, who is this? Carmyn Bradley." Put that in my mental Rolodex for sure. But so what about this variety of different things you do? Because am I wrong? Do you
Mm.
also paint and like you're doing so many things?
Yeah, I do a lot. And that's partially why, like, you see more music stuff from me lately because I decided to kind of focus on that. But interestingly enough, like as I'd made that choice, like things have come back to me, like my yoga practice. Like if you look, you see me doing handstands and stuff. It's like I think that all of the other things happen a little more like they're orbiting around the music, I
Uh huh.
guess.
Uh huh.
But I think I've freed myself up to an extent, and so I create. I don't paint really, but I do like draw a little bit, but I don't like necessarily consider myself to be like a painter, but I am an artist, and I think I've always been somebody who's had I can be good at something if I decide that I want to be. And
Mm,
so I have a lot of like different talents. But for me, the challenge really is like kind of picking one thing because I'm also very energetic. So if I can pick one thing and really lean into it, then I'm like, how far can this go
right.
if I can really direct my attention, like laser rather than light bulb kind of energy?
I really respect that because I've never been that type of person that could do a lot of different things. I'm more of a person I tell you what, I can do production really well because it's all I do.
Mm,
Like I
mm.
focused on that and I got
Yeah,
that. But the rest of the
yeah,
things, I don't really know so much about so many things, but
mm,
I do know
yeah,
production. So about your music. Now, in your opinion,
yeah.
what's your best
Mhm.
song? Your go-to best song that you this is you 100%. If we only could hear one, what is the best song that you've ever written?
Oh, that's a question. That's a question. Shit. I have one I haven't produced yet that's about my brother that doesn't have a lot of words.
Mm,
And it's just like raw emotion. And it's about like the moment that I found out. And I would say that that one might be pretty core Carmyn Bradley. Because in the Beatles thing, I was singing I Want You and was learning about, what went into that song. And that was a song that was about just one emotion and really leaning into it.
hmm
And, um, and I've been playing around with like my voice and how low it goes and how high it goes. And so that song that I wrote, that's called I Remember You Cold, there's like this image of, perhaps people don't want to hear this, but anyway, seeing my brother like in the morgue and like
Mm,
seeing him lifeless, and that song is just about that emotion. And it's, I have to be really open and receptive even to be able to like sing it fully also.
sure.
So yeah.
Completely understand. Do you have a go-to instrument? Like I love piano, but I don't play piano. So, but
Mm,
if I could, I would love to
mm-hmm,
compose as much as I could on the piano. Do you have a
mm,
go-to
mm.
instrument that you love to write on guitar?
Yeah, the guitar's my go-to. I am dabbling around with the piano, and ironically, it feels almost like it will click more pretty, but the guitar clicked pretty quickly too. That was an interesting other moment that happened for me because I've been singing my whole life.
Uh-huh.
But back when I did a competition 3 years ago, it was only 3 years ago, which is crazy, but I was going to New York to do an acting, singing, modeling competition.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, you know what? Let me accompany myself. Let me find a guitar coach and sing these songs to the guitar. And
Oh,
now
nice.
I could not put it down after that. And I discovered the songwriting aspect of myself when I found the guitar. It was like everything just clicked. And so, yeah, I usually 99% of the time if I'm writing a song, it's actually starts with the guitar and then the melody follows.
Interesting. And do you practice every day on the guitar? Or do you practice 3 times a week? What's your regimen?
I practice every day, except every once in a while I'll take like Saturday off. I have to give myself permission to like not do anything, but I find myself going to it anyway,
Hmm.
even on like a rest day. But I practice every day because it keeps me from getting rusty.
And so how do you practice? Do you just play your songs or do you actually do scales and like learn new chord fingerings and everything? Like what is your practice regimen if you're because you are a professional musician. You're getting
Yeah,
paid to play
yeah,
music. So you're not
yeah.
learning anymore, right?
Well, I still am. Um, the thing that launched me, I would say, from because I was a professional singer for 5, 6 years now, but again, the guitar only happened 3 years ago. And so, in a way, when I was like learning the guitar, it had me holding myself back from even like going out to get paid to sing because I wasn't yet there with the guitar. And not that I needed it, but anyway, when the Beatles gig came around, it forced me to, in a 4 month period, learn
Wow.
all these new chords that I didn't know.
Wow.
And like it was crazy. I locked in so hard. I was hardly out. I was just working and then locking in on those chords and those songs so that I could get up there and do that thing. And so it's helped unlock other levels for me too. So it's hard to answer the the question about the practice regimen because it's kind of evolving depending on what I'm writing and what I'm preparing.
I
But I was doing just a simple scale every day to practice like riffs and then, bar chord stuff, seven chords, just I don't know.
I think that's interesting what you're saying because I had a kind of profound thought the other day about Prince. Not in that way, and not Prince Andrew either. But like Prince was saying, he learned to play 27 instruments, right? And
Yeah.
we always hear that and we go, well, that sounds kind of impossible. Like, how do you learn to play all those instruments? But if you think about it, and when Prince was a young artist in the 70s, we didn't have the internet. We didn't even people didn't have cell phones, so
Mm-hmm.
you could literally lock yourself in a studio and for
Mm-hmm.
12 hours you could play drums, and by the end of that 12 hours you probably will know a little bit more than you knew last week, right? And if you
Yeah.
kept doing that, eventually you get the
Yeah.
drums down and you get the bass down, you get the guitar down, you get the piano
Yeah.
down.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, you could get to the
Mm-hmm.
point where you're very well versed at music if you can be focused. And that's part of the
Yeah.
problem is that we are all so unfocused. So my last
Yeah.
question for this interview is what did you think of the opening question that we have? Is anybody living a truly happy life? Because I think this interview encapsulate it will come to a pleasant close with your thoughts on that question. What is anybody happy?
Um, gosh, can I give you like kind of a non-answer? Like,
Sure,
my
I'll take a non. Sure.
because my thought on that, I think about this a lot because of the other work that I do, is that like being happy all the time is not a box that I want to put myself in. But then in recent times, I've wondered if that was just something I was saying because I was attached to my suffering. And like maybe I could be happy all the time, or at least like fulfilled and peaceful, and maybe other like emotions that are maybe like deeper than happiness. Like I don't know that anybody is happy all the time, but maybe there are people who are joyful, and maybe like my hypothesis on that would be that if you could find who you really are and live in that way and be connected and have community, I think that you could. But I think there's a lot that we maybe are challenged to like tune out. Because, you brought up like people probably think that like Trump is happy or that rich people are happy. And it's like
Mhm.
maybe also if we just tune out the wondering about other people we don't even know and how they experience life and like tune inward a little bit, I think that we could find that for ourselves. Whether or not people have or whether or not I will, that's the question.
And you know what? On that note, I can't close the show stronger than that. So, Carmen Bradley, how do we stalk you on the internet if we want to pleasantly become your fans and followers? What do we do now?
Yes. Well, I welcome it. And as long as you spell my name right, you can
Right.
Google me and find everything. Carmynn. And on Instagram, it's Carmyn_Bradley. And on TikTok, it's Carmyn.Bradley. But my website is carmynbradley.com. And like I said, if you Google me, you can find like the therapy stuff that I do also. So it's all there for the taking.
It's all there. And today it's Carmen Bradley on the Ace Michael show. And that is
Yay.
her real name. She's not trying to be fancy. She's not playing too
Nope.
much. That's her
I
name.
ain't.
And that's the story. She's sticking to it. Thank you guys for listening today. Thank you, Carmen, for being on the show. You guys know what I say at the end of every show. By now, you got it ingrained. I still mean it. Live the life you love and love the life you live. Thank you.
Thank you.